Good morning, everyone. Let me introduce myself. I'm Trina. I'm a psychic medium, shamanic, angelic practitioner. And so everything that we're going over today is stuff that I was guided to yesterday when I was sitting in meditation, that spirit wanted you to kind of relay the messages. And so the key things is everyone knows I'm really around moon energy and how we can use that energy twice a month to help shift and transform our life. So with that being said, we're going to kind of start with what we were getting. So we just finished a retrograde, right? And sometimes, people can feel the retrogrades. I was getting a lot of messages as this retrograde is making me feel beat up and stuff. And I understand that. They can feel a little bit rough, especially when communication issues are a problem or can be a conflict, right? But now this moon is calling us for this huge shift for ourselves. So it's kind of like it's calling us to step into what we've been asking for, with the intentions that we've been calling forth for, and now it's telling us, okay, it's no longer time to keep singing about it and calling it in. It's now to move into action with that. And when we have to move into action, it can feel a little bit overwhelming and a little bit intimidating, and so it brings up all these fears. And so this is the piece that they kind of want us to address today. So this full moon occurs in Virgo, and the sun is in Pisces. They form an opposition with each other with the moon and with this moon and this Virgo energy. And so what do I mean by this? I want to show you and give you, if you're not a huge astrology person, I want to give you a point of reference so you understand what I'm talking about when I say this. Let me find my share screen here. I'll add it in the edit for the video thing because I can't pull it up. Anyways, let's just go ahead and talk about what we're talking about. So when we look at the stars in the constellation, so I'm going to use my background actually. We'll say they go off our constellations of our signs, right? Like Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. And so say Virgo's here, Aquarius is up here, and then we have Taurus, right? And so when we're talking about the planets is in that things, it's in that general area. That's where it's directing and an alignment with. You can do a straight line towards that constellation and towards that planet. So when they say like Earth is in Taurus and stuff, and that Earth is lining up with that energy. Does that make sense? So when I'm using those words, that's what you need to visualize, is how the planets are in that alignment with that constellation. So that's where they're saying moon is in Virgo. So moon is pointing towards Virgo, and the sun is in Pisces. So they have these different alignments that come together and make their point to that. And so that's how these energies combine and how they work together. Does that make sense? Okay, so the moon is in Virgo at this time. It's when the lunar sky path is crossing that part of the zodiac, like we just talked about. Virgo is an earth sign associated with healing, rules of organization, details, processes, and strategies. So what does that mean? So that means right now we're being called to organize our life, to organize the structures in our things, just not like I'm talking about like decluttering your house, becoming focusing more on your time management, learning how to bring more alignment with those pieces of organization. So it's also pushing us to explore and restructure to help manifest our dreams. What does that look like for you to bring these dreams forth? What does that mean that you need to put aside for a little bit, like taking some downtime from social media so you can focus on the actions of moving towards these intentions and these goals that you're calling forth? Because we can sit there and call and ask spirit to bring our gifts and joys to us, but we also have accountability of our own actions and how that looks. fix. And so we have to really take responsibility for that with our time. How does that look? How are we stepping into the actions to move into opening that to bloom, to flower, to come into fruition into our lives? You know, spirit can give us the seed, but we also have to nurture it, give it substance so it can grow and really become a solid piece into our lives. The energy is also about the emotional and energetic cleansing that we're going to go through. It's leading us to go out of really look at our habits, our relationships, the emotional baggage that we tend to carry, and even physical messes and clutter that might be blocking our pathway to healing and wellness. So what does that mean? What relationships are you still holding on to that drain your energy? That that person is just a really, say they go into victimization a lot, and after you get off the phone, you're just feeling drained, and you're just like, oh my gosh, and like, where are you putting boundaries? Because some of these relationships we just can't cut out because they're family, and they're really important people to us. So it's learning, how do you put boundaries with that relationship so you're not taking that energy on? How are you putting energetic boundaries around your energetic space, and that you're not taking their energy on into your field? And that you realize when you're working with them, they're working from a place of stuckness, and that's not yours to fix. That's the problem, like especially with us light workers, us healers, is that we want to help heal people. We want to help move them forward. And so sometimes that's not always our job to do. This is sometimes something that we can do when we hold space through prayer. We can hold space through setting personal grids for people that are stuck. But we can't rescue them. That's their choice of having to move out of that place and changing their thoughts and then moving into their own healing. It's pressing us to find balance between our day-to-day functions. Like I said, like, where are you giving more energy to? I really encourage you to sit down and how much time are you on social media, on a computer, on Netflix, stuff like that, that you can take some of that time and give it to some of this personal growth, to some of this personal development. So one of these things, I literally have a timer on my phone that goes off, that I know in the evening to turn everything off and go into my meditation. And I have allotted a certain time every single day to allow myself to have that. It's about working on your routines. What does your routines look like? I'm going to tell you, spirit really thrives on consistency, on the more energy you put into something, that's what the energy that you're building into. Our physical health, what kind of water are you taking in? What kind of food substances are you taking in your body? And it's not like doing this whole drastic change at one time. It's learning how to do it in piece by piece by piece. So like with diet things, it's, yes, we can go full in, but what is the chances that you're gonna probably fail because it's overwhelming and it's too much? You take one piece that you want to change with the diet. Say, I want to increase my water, so you work on the water increase. Okay, I want to lower my sugar intake, so you start doing it piece by piece. You don't take it all at once. And usually it takes 90 days to change a pattern of behavior. Oh my gosh, right? 90 days, that's 3 months. And so you have to give yourself permission. Okay, this is what I'm going to work on in this 3 months. And then once I feel like I got it, mastered, and it's actually a change pattern now, a change relationship with myself, then you can move it into, okay, now I'm going to work on sugar, I'm going to add more of a plant-based diet. So it's things like that. You take it in little pieces instead of trying to do it all at once, where it feels overwhelming, and then after 30 days, you're like, I can't do this, I'm done. So it's about those needs. For organization, how can you bring in more organizations? Like decluttering, get creative ideas. Pinterest has such an amazing way of how can you restructure things and simplify things in your life. There's people who already thought about this. You don't have to do the hard foundational work. It's out there for you. So just do something like what I do is, like, right now I have a list that I write out 7 days of small little goals that I want to meet for my week, right? 7 little goals. So each day I take which one, whether it's following up as something simple as a call, working on a presentation or something like that. I just take it and I do it in bits and pieces so I don't feel overwhelmed with the whole project. And so those are simple ways that we could start bringing organization into our lives. And this is when we start bringing more structure with this kind of flow and this is the biggest thing, is giving ourselves permission to do this and not feel guilty or shame because maybe we skipped a day, and that's okay. You don't beat yourself up. This is not, Spirit is not about wanting to cause guilt or shame or anything like that. Spirit is about encouraging you to motivate you, to move you into a different direction so you can bring these energies forth in a more positive way. So it's all about shifting. So Virgo also rules the tools and techniques that we deal with every day. So this is like what I was just talking about with the organization, why Pisces is the spiritual self. And so this is, and to think that they're separate, they're not. We have our physical, and then we have our emotional, mental, and spiritual. Well, this one is asking for the physical and the spiritual to kind of really work together with these things that we want to manifest. So some of you might be feeling like you're kind of going through a crisis with energy. Like this is, this has been all the energies and the stuff that's going on. I feel a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit consumed. And this is not the intention of this. It's about helping you see, what happened there? There we go. To help you see that this is about shifting these energies. It's helping us. And I also feel like it's taking off the blinders where we feel like there's lack in our life. So what do I mean? Are you feeling like you're wanting to be, and I know it's hard right now with a pandemic. I get that. And it's like, the lack of feeling like being connected to community, being connected to friends, being connected to other things. And so it's really asking, how can you feel that feeling of lack with more substance? So if you're feeling like that lack of friend, how do you get on? Do you get on any like Zoom or FaceTime and have that face-to-face interaction and engagement with the people that you care about and that you love? So it's about those kind of pieces. It also brings us about the opportunity to explore these emotional needs. Whenever there's a lack, that's your body, that's your energetic self saying, hey, something's off. We need to fill this in. Let's work on this and explore what this looks like. And it's really pretty much giving you this huge, sign to say, hey, there's something that feels off that we want you to work on. Also the sun is sitting opposite of the moon, and so this kind of talks about so they're just they're like this with the energy, and so it's about bringing balance, bringing balance to these two keys, and that is one of the main pieces with this is balance. Pisces also activates the dreamer in us. And so that's why I'm talking about, what are your dreams? What are the things that you want to reflect on, that you want to shift, that you want to move? What's the intention? And then remember, whenever we're working with intentions, I think people always think, well, I put my intention out there. We got to remember that our intention, yes, is the door, but our emotions is the key that opens that door so spirit can flow in. So what do I mean by that? It's the magnet. It's what pulls that energy towards you. So you can sit there and set your intention, but it's really important that you also focus on the feelings attached to that intention. So what would that feel like? It's like, okay, I want, I'm trying to think of an intention that I want to bring. I want more, connective, balanced friends, right? I want, more balance. That's my intention. I want to bring that in. And so now I start to think about and visualize, what does that feel like to have that connected, balanced relationships? What will how will that manifest in my life? How can I visualize seeing those conversations, seeing that building of that relationship, feeling that oh my God, that feels so good that I have these kind of relationships. And that's what you focus on the visualization. You not only set the intention, but the feelings. Like, I think we've been taught for so long and that our feelings are negative, and they're actually one of our greatest gifts Spirit has ever given us, because they are these powerful keys of manifestation and shifting and change. There is no negative emotion. Like, even though we talk about like anger and fear, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, we're always been told, oh, those are negative, those are negative. No, they're there to tell you something's off, something's not right, something is, being triggered, either a past trauma, or there's a boundary being crossed, or there's some other element that's not working. Those are what great signs they're showing us, and to not utilize that is we haven't been taught how to utilize that in the best way, how to encourage that through and making that work for us in a balanced way. I hope that makes sense. It's helping us. They help us express ourselves with not only our physical, body, but our mental, our spiritual, our emotional. It helps. They can fortify our energetic systems. So working with emotions is a huge key that we need to focus on, and stop looking at it as a negative thing. They're these powerful, I want you to start looking at them as these powerful magnets and these powerful indicators that something's not working, something's off in one of these fields. Okay, so right now we're probably receiving, especially my really intuitive little sparks out there, you guys are really receiving a lot of messages around these things about you stepping into your highest potential with these dreams, these intentions. And this is because this is the time Spirit is saying, okay, it stopped calling it in. Now it's time to move into action. It's start to bringing it forth. It's time to start moving into that visualization, to bring that energy into your life and into your field. So one of the questions I want you guys to sit with right now is, how do you make time for your creative expression? What does that look like? What do you do? What is the time you allow yourself to bring in these dreams that you have for your life, for your business, for your relationships? What is the time that you allot for that? And what does that look like for you? The second question I want you to ask is, how can I better do my time management to achieve these goals? How better? These are the things I want you to work on after this video, and really sit with it. Sit down and make a list. How can I better do my time management to achieve these goals that I'm seeking? Am I so focused on how things are supposed to come in that I'm not leaving the universe to do its thing? So what do I mean? When we get stuck on our expectations and how it should come in and how it looks, guess what? We're literally closing that door on Spirit and saying, oh, I don't want it. Because Spirit doesn't always walk through the door. Sometimes Spirit will come under the cracks and crevices, and sometimes it works through people. It comes in different ways and different ways that it shows up in our lives. And I say, never be tied to how that presents in your life, because Spirit can be this amazing, how do I want to word this? This amazing energy for shifting and change. And when we let go of the expectations and how it's supposed to come into our life. So like when we call in for an abundance, people always think, and they attach abundance to money, like physical money. Well, I didn't get, money. But then when they went to, Starbucks and someone paid for their drinks, before them, or they got when they went to go pay for their tires, the guy goes, oh, I got a coupon, I can give you a discount. Well, that's abundance. It's things like that. We get too tied in how it looks that we miss the other ways that Spirit is sprinkling it into our lives. And trust me, I get tons of amazing things. My kids are no longer shocked when we go to places and we have people pay pay for our stuff, or, you know, they all of a sudden there's this amazing coupon for us, stuff like that. They're just like, oh, Mom, it's abundance. I'm like, yes, let's give gratitude. Let's tell Spirit, thank you. You got my back. I appreciate that. And so the more we give gratitude to it and acknowledge it, the more Spirit's like, yes, because you feed into it. You're not blocking it. You're just receiving. You're receiving that love, because that's literally what it is, love from source, right? So, so what is, you know, I want to talk about, like, what is one of the biggest blocks from this flow coming in to our lives? And that's fear. Fear is a physical and emotional response saying that there is danger. It's a legit threat, right? So we have the physical fears. So we have things that we are physically afraid of, which can be like spiders, and it can be like going on airplane rides. It can be like, you know, being alone at home at night in your house, things like that. So that's the physical element of physical fear. And then there's also the emotional element of fear. And then these are the pieces that I want to more focus on, not so much the physical as the emotional, because remember, the emotion is our magnet. It is the one that is the key that opens up that door for our intentions. And if we have fear, we're literally putting a door block underneath that door. We're keeping it, even though we've unlocked the key, we're keeping it from fully opening and being expressed to fully be sprinkled out through our lives. So some kind of the emotional fears we can have is the fear of inadequacy, so that you don't feel like you're good enough. And how many of us can say that they felt that sometime, you know, right? That someone can do it better. And so a lot of us tend to move into the extreme part of that, of being a perfectionist. Well, everything has to look exactly right, right? The fear of uncertainty, right? We don't know. Like this pandemic, let me tell you, it's put this uncertainty, because we sit there and kind of can roll out like, oh, I'm so afraid what's going to happen financially, you know, the germs, and are we going to lose anyone we love? We can't control that. What we can control is how we respond, how we move through it, and not focus on, like, if you know this, that you're focusing a lot on worries, I would really sit there and encourage you to sit down and write those worries and see if they're rooted from something in childhood and this is re-triggering that, or if it's something that is just really causing this fear, and how you can make yourself feel safe around that uncertainty. The fear of failure. Oh my God, this is, you know, I've literally seen people not purposely move into things. I didn't for 10 years. I didn't move into the spiritual work for 10 years because, well, there's someone better than me, or I can't do this. You have all these fears, and you gotta let those fears. I want you to sit down and think about this one, because this one's one of the main ones, I think, is the fear of failure. Is, where has the fear of failure stopped you from moving forward? Where has it stopped you from really moving into something new, to try something new? Because you were afraid, well, if I failed, what did that look like for me? Okay? Because that's no fun, right? I mean, none of that is fun at all. We also have the fear of rejection. How many of us are afraid of being rejected? And so we purposely, especially my single people, I know a lot of them won't put themselves out there. I'm like, you're not going to meet the pizza delivery boy. That's not your soulmate. You have to put yourself out there and experiences. You have to go out there and go fish. And yes, I know there's some toads and all that stuff, but I feel like the more you experience that, the more you really get to see what resonates with you and what doesn't resonate with you. And it's just because, we meet someone, and what I've noticed a lot is that people meet someone right away and they feel a connection, and all of a sudden they're putting the cart in front of the horse. Well, what about marriage? And what about, I'm like, no, Just enjoy, see what this person's like, experience what that relationship, because it may end up just being a really good friendship that's going to unfold from this. Not everything is meant to be this catalytic connection, right? But you have to go out and experience it. You got to put yourself in a vulnerable state. We always think vulnerability, is like a bad word. It's not. Vulnerability is one of our biggest strengths. So what do I mean by this? Vulnerability is a place of us going, we need some assistance. And we need some support around this. And we have the greatest support around spirit that can do this, universal source. And so universal source is saying, ask for help around this when you're feeling vulnerable. Talk about it. Don't let it sit in your body, in your space. Give it a voice, because once you give it a voice to someone, and you give it to a voice to someone that is safe, to someone that got your back, that doesn't judge you, that's the place that you share these vulnerabilities with, and you share it. And once you give it a voice, it doesn't have as strong as roots as it did before. And then you're starting able to look, okay, why do I feel vulnerable with this? What am I afraid of? What is the fear that's underlying and connecting to this, right? So there's also the fear of change. Change, oh my God, who likes change? I know I will put things off until the last moment because I don't like change any more than anyone, because it's that transition, it's that uncertainty, right? We just don't know what's going to happen. But when we're afraid of change, it keeps us stuck. It literally keeps us rooted in cement. You cannot move, you cannot grow. And when I mean grow, I'm not just talking about your physical body, I'm talking about your energetic body. We are meant to be these amazing superhuman beings. Spirit made our genetics and our body and our mind and our energetic field to be like an alchemy of magic, literally. If you look at some of the dedicated yogis and people who have really worked on their energetic bodies and how they're able to manipulate energy, they can manipulate energy, the space and time, and it's phenomenal. That is our true potential, and we have been told that it's not, and we got to erase those beliefs and truly go within ourselves to know that information and knowledge is within us. We all are part of it. We are all connected to source. There is no separation. We are all part of that beautiful universal knowledge that we can connect to. But it means dedication to do that. It means working on your energetic field through meditation, through sound, through the substances that you take into your vessel, into your body. And so there is some work with it. And so that's why change is scary, because we just don't know, right? And so it's learning to embrace change. So what do I mean by that? It's learning to look, what are the possibilities? Always look, okay, when you're afraid of change coming on, what are the gifts that this change can bring to you? We tend to focus on what would be negative, but I want you to start focusing on what are the gifts this change can be for me? How will it bring betterment to either myself, my relationships, and things like that? And if you really are having a hard time figuring that out, really go, and I call you to go into your heart chakra space. Literally, you're going to just close your eyes, go into your heart chakra space, and ask your source, ask yourself, what is the gifts here? What am I missing? What can I see? And just receive. And don't be tied. Like, don't think it has to be this huge story. Sometimes it's very short, and it will say joy, or it will say friendship, or very simple things. It doesn't always have to be this long, drawn out story. It's very simple and it's very direct. And so I encourage you to start doing that when you ever have to deal with change. The fear of losing control, right? Oh my God. People will tell you I'm a type A personality. And I really of how to learn how to let go of control, especially if I want to explore the spiritual realm. There's no control when it comes to this into spirit. I have to literally, I would say, oh, take my hands off the wheel. You got it. You're doing it. And I didn't learn this. The most I learned this was this last journey that I did with grandmother plant medicine in October. And I kept on hearing my guide say, let go of control. And I'm like, how am I controlling? I'm sitting here, I'm meditating, I've taken in this beautiful sacred medicine. And they said, what I noticed is a bee kept coming by me and I kept shooing it away. And they said, let it go. Stop controlling this. And then all of a sudden the bee landed on me and I could feel its little antennas reading my energy and literally doing all this energetic stuff. And then all of a sudden I had 2 bees by both ears buzzing and I could feel the sound vibration going into my brain, doing some kind of cleansing and cleaning. And I literally had to trust and let go of control that I literally had a bee inside my nose reading my breath, reading my prana life force energy. And trust me, a year ago I would have panicked. Oh my God. And it was funny because then when I was talking to the bee, I was like, I went to a state of panic of don't sting me. And she's like, my sting is not a burden. My sting is a healing. And if you look at bee stings, they are very healing and very beneficial. But we've lost that. And so I had to learn to let control and just let them do their job and what they wanted to cleanse and release. So I had a huge lesson on control there. And ever since now, I'm just like, okay, Spirit, I'm letting you drive. Go ahead. I'm listening. I'm doing it, okay? And it's hard because I've had to get out of my comfort zone in such big ways. And sometimes when we have to get out of our comfort zone, it brings up insecurity. It brings up things of like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, right? So those are the, and then the fear of being judged. Oh my gosh, right? Being judged. We always, that's such a difficult one, being judged. That's when we're too attached to what other people think. And when we learn to let go of living life for who and what we are, we have this immense freedom. We have this immense way of doing. And that's why I didn't move into the spiritual way for a long time, because I was worried about what my family would think and their judgments around that. And I finally had to let that go and just be who I am and let that expression be. I no longer, you get what you get. There's no more being a chameleon to fit in here or there. I am who I am. And so I can't tell you the amount of freedom that has, that amount of having that ability just to be present and not have to worry about having to shift or change that piece of me. Okay, fear of loneliness. Oh my gosh, this is a big one. Fear of loneliness. And especially during this pandemic, it's really hard, especially for my ones that don't have family living with them. The fear of loneliness, because that is that ego part of saying that we're separate. It's that ego part saying we're separate from others and from source and things like that. And the more that you start working on your energetic bodies and meditation, this will start to dissipate. I promise you. If you do more meditation and connecting to that inner energy, you won't feel that separateness as much. Okay. So go ahead and take a deep breath in. And I was guided to 4 directions, one for today. So, great spirit of light, come to me out of the east with the power of the rising sun. Let there be light in my words. Let there be light on my path as I walk. Let me remember always that you give me the gift of a new day, and never let me be burdened with sorrow by not starting over again. Great spirit of love, come to me with the power of the north. Make me courageous when the cold winds fall upon me. Give me strength and endurance for everything that is harsh and everything that hurts, everything that makes me squint or cower. Let me move through life ready to take on what comes from the north. Great life-giving spirit, I face the west, the directions of sundown, Let me remember every day that the moment will come when my sun will also go down. And never let me forget that I must fade into you. Give me beautiful color. Give me a great sky for setting, so that when it is my time to meet you, I can come in glory. Great Spirit of creation, send me the warm and soothing winds from the south. Comfort me and caress me when I am tired and I am cold. Unfold me like the gentle breezes that unfold the leaves on the trees. As you give it all to earth, your warm, moving wind give to me, so that I may grow close to you in warmth. Man did not create the web of life, but is just a strand in it. Whatever man does to the web, he does to himself. Ahoy. This next piece that we're going to do is we're going to work with our soul star chakra. So our crown chakra is right here in our head. Our soul star chakra is right here. And thank you, Susan. You reminded me about this beautiful thing. I used to work with it all the time, and then I don't know why I put it to the side, but I just remembered. So what we're going to do, our soul star chakra is the chakra that is connected to our higher self. It is that one that holds all that esoteric information of life, our souls, our contracts, all that stuff. But it's also a very protective one. So what I want you to do is you're going to get your hands and go right here, right above your head, and you're going to kind of open and you're going to move that chakra up and over your auric field. And you're going to do it, from front to back, and feel it just really opening and going, and feel it go all the way down to your feet. And I want you guys to take a second and go ahead and do that now. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to kind of just close your eyes, and in that field, I want you to start feeling with your hands to see if there's any tears, if there's any kind of like fuzzy stickiness or anything like that. And if you feel it, just smooth it over with your hands. Just move that auric field and start just kind of scanning all the way around you, top, around, all that things, and feel that field around you and smooth anything out that's not supposed to be there. Now this next piece, we're going to use Om. We're going to do some vocal toning to kind of shift our vibration and to get us to do this work that we're doing to releasing these fears. So we're going to take a deep breath in. Again, another deep breath in. One more. This next one we're going to do with the sound of the heart chakra, which is Ah. So breathe in. Again, breathe in. Last one. you to get into a comfortable place, whether you're sitting or laying down. You don't need to watch the video for this next piece because we're going to go more into ourselves and to work with our helping spirits and with our own energetic space. So go ahead and take a second to get comfortable. Now, as you get comfortable, I want you to go ahead and close your eyes and start releasing any tensions, any to-do lists in your head. Start feeling this relaxation starting at the bottom of your feet, moving up to your ankles, up through your shins and your calves, up through your knees, the back of your thighs, the front of your thighs. Releasing, letting go. Feeling this energy of release in your hips, your lower pelvic growing area, your abdomen, all the way up through your ribs, the center of your chest, your shoulders, just relaxing, letting go. All the way down your forearms, down to your fingers, feeling this relaxation moving up through your neck, the side of your face, your chin, your forehead, all the way up to your top of your head. Just relaxing, just releasing. Now I want you to imagine this beautiful energy flowing out of your top of your head like a fountain, flowing all the way down to your feet, and then it goes up and into your feet. So seeing it flow and all these beautiful pieces all the way around you, flowing all the way out, all the way down into the bottom of your feet. And keep pulling that energy up and out, up and out. And this next time, as we're pulling the energy up and out, I want you to see the energy starting to swirl around you as it's going down to your feet. Feel it swirling and comforting and wrapping around you as it's swirling around and up through your feet. And again, pull the energy up and out your head. Have it swirl around your whole body and space down into the bottom of your feet and back up again. And now I want you to imagine in front of you a box. This is your box. So you make it as beautiful in any way that it wants to look to you. And see this beautiful box right in front of you. See its beautiful colors, feel its energy, just feels of connection, of love. You know this box. This box is yours. And I want you to open this box at this time. Open it up. And I want you to put things that you're worried about right now. Things that, like your to-do list for today or coming up, any projects. Things that you've been focusing on, if there's been relationships or anything that's been kind of difficult going on in your life. I want you to put that energy and those thoughts in the box right now. And you just see them going down and floating into your box. And you're not worried about where they go. They're just going in your box and away from you. And now I want you to put your hands on the side of your box. And I want you to ask to have it show you one of your main fears to work on. Have it bring up in the box, and it's going to come up and it's going to look like a little bubble coming up out of water. And you see it coming up, and it's okay. Just look at it as it coming up toward you. And I want you to pick up that fear, look at it, and now I want you to release it up into the air. Push it away from you. You can shove it, you can blow it, whatever way that you need to do is to release that fear. And now I want you to look into the box and ask, what feelings are connected to this fear? What feelings are rooted here? And see these little bubbles coming up. You may have just one or you may have several. Now as these bubbles come up, I want you to do the same thing. Grab them, acknowledge them, and then release them up and away from you. Now I want you to touch your box and ask, what gift did this fear and these feelings give to me? What gift was I having a hard time seeing that it brought? And let this bubble come up, but we're not going to release this bubble. So I want you to pull this bubble up and into your hands. And as you look at this gift and you acknowledge these gifts, I want you to go right and put these gifts right into the center of your heart, right into the center of your heart chakra. Feel it merge, feel it become a part of you. Feel that energy. You maybe even get feelings of tinglings and sensations, and that's good. And again, we're going to ask your box to show you another fear. And let that fear bubble up in your box all the way up. Pick it up, acknowledge it. Now it's time to release it and let it go. Up and into the air. And again, we're going to move the box and ask, what are the emotions that I have connected here that is rooted with this fear? And like I said, there can be one or several, and let these bubble up. And pick them up and do the same thing. Release them. Move them away from you. Now we ask, what is the gift of this fear? Ask our box to show us, what are the gifts that I wasn't able to see or with these emotions? And let those bubble up. And as they come up, we're not going to release these again. We're going to move these into the center of our heart. Feel it merge into your body, into your space, into your auric field. And then I want you to go ahead and close your box and give it gratitude for giving you these answers and clarity. And then I want you to see one of your helping spirits in front of you. And they have a message for you that they want to give you. Sit and listen and receive. It may come as a feeling. It may come as a symbol. It may come as colors. It may come as an emotion. Just receive. And this helping spirit or spirit guide wants to give you a gift. And they hand you a gift. Feel it, receive it. Don't be tied to how it should come in. We now give thanks for our box and our spirit guides to come in and assist us today on this journey. And I want you to slowly start becoming aware of your physical body and space. I'm going to count to 10, which will bring more awareness and fully awake and aware. 10, feeling balanced. 9, feeling relaxed. 8, feeling more aware of your physical body and space. 7, feeling sensations starting to come into your fingers and toes. 6, feel very loved by Source. 5, becoming more aware of my voice and the sounds in your room and your space. 4, feeling the physical sensations of your body as your breath and you're connecting to your heart. 3, feeling balanced. 2, fully becoming aware of your whole physical body. And 1, opening your eyes and becoming present. That's different, huh? To be able to look at our fears and to release them and to even feel the emotions that are connected with them. It can be a little bit overwhelming and a little bit intimidating when we see that piece. I'm now going to open it up to Q&A. So you can send me a chat or you can open up your mic, whatever you feel to do, to ask any questions right now.
I have a question, Trina. The energy I've been feeling recently has a sort of finality to it. Is that normal, or could that be something else that I'm feeling?
So right now, okay, this is literally, man, it started probably last January as I literally saw like what you're feeling is this lower energy that's literally before it used to be in the shadows, used to be like hiding and lurking out, and literally with all the stuff that's happened, a doorway has been opened, like literally it's the gates, I guess you want to say, has been open, and I see this energy literally walking among others. So that in itself can feel finale in the fear, and we're not just dealing with our own personal fear, we're dealing with the community whole as a fear, with this pandemic, with financials, with finding out how much we've really been misled. That is bringing a lot of anger and angst and things like that. So that's that piece. And so when we just focus on that energy, that's all we're going to feel. So it's start learning how to working on the different, like we just worked on the gifts of this energy. And so we're able to look at the gifts of what this energy is. And so what are the gifts of some of this pandemic? It's teaching us that we're a social community. We need each other, that we need to have this interaction. We need to have this space. Then it's not so much about the materialistic things as it is about the engagement with others, and so we can start improving that relationship. The other gifts is the technology that is coming out of this. We're seeing huge phenomenal technologies to help balance, not just I think this way of this vaccine is just not only going to change with the way we do vaccines, it's also going to change cancer treatments and so many other different ways of medication delivery. The other parts too, and not just only did the bottom open up, but the top opened up too. So not only was I seeing these shadow pieces walking among people, I also saw these legions, and I'm talking legions of angels. I literally had to pull my car over one day, and I just stood up in the looked at the sky, and I was calling, my spirit mom, like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what I'm seeing right now. And so there's always a duality when even not one has more force than the other. There's always that duality of one, and it's what we feed. What are we going to give our energy to? And so it's being able to acknowledge what is the fear, the finality that you're so afraid of. What's that fear?
I think I have to sit with that.
Well, this has brought up fears of, can we die? Can someone we love die? Right?
Mhm.
Or is it something else?
I don't know. I don't necessarily know if that fits, but
Well, how does it fit for you? You tell me, how does it feel? When you say finality, what does that mean? Like you feel like it's the end of the world, or you feel like what?
I feel like something is ending and I'm not sure how to feel about it, if that makes sense.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know if it's a
And
good.
it totally is. There's not just one thing. There's so many layers of things that are ending. And those are the pieces that we're talking about. We are no longer we we're shifting this energy from industrial to this more etheric energy. And so what do I mean by that? It's more of that technology. It's more of the spiritual based. It's not going to be rooted so much in materialism as we've been before. And some of that is sad for some people. Some of that is a loss because some people really like that physicalness of stuff. And it's a shift, it's a change of our perceptions. I mean, think about where you were a year ago and how much things have changed what you believed from a place of a year ago to now, right? And there's a grief in that. There's even a grief when, even though it may be a good change or a good new way of moving, any kind of change, any kind of transition, we have to acknowledge the grief that is there. We have to acknowledge because there's a loss. Even though it may be a good change, there's still a loss. And we have to acknowledge and sit with that. But there's tons of things that have changed, honey. And you're right. Things are not going to ever be the same again. And that's not in a bad way. To me, I see it as the possibilities of people's eyes being open to that universal web, to how we are all connected and energies, and how it's important that we help each other, because that's the only way we're going to get through this. Does that help?
Mm-hmm. Yep, a lot. That helps a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have some chat questions too.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me go up here. How do you know when there is actually something to be afraid of and that isn't right for you versus just overthinking? Well, that's a good question, right? Usually when it's a physical danger, you know, right? But the more that you work, Kevin, on your energetic space and your energy bodies, you'll be able to really be able to sense what is this and what is not. And overthinking, I feel, is one of the biggest things that we can do to keep laying down that foundation of fear. When we overthink things, and versus when we overthink things, that's not us trusting source. That's us moving into ego, thinking that we have to carry it all, that we don't have this inner knowing within us to find these answers. So what am I saying? Like, people knew when I was doing classes in person last year, I was getting messages around this pandemic. They called it, the only reference I could have was like the plague, and they kept on saying the plague is coming, the plague is coming. And I was like in a panic, and I was like, what can I control and not control? And it spun me out for a while. And I really had to sit down and say, stop, and go in and say, okay, Spirit, show me what I can control with this. What pieces can I control and what do I have to let go of? Because that's the part of overthinking, is sometimes control can lead into that too. And there is some energies that are out there that are really meant to feed off of us, to target us. I mean, there's other dimensional beings that we physically can't see but are in our energetic space, and that's why I do so much work around protection. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because like I have sprays that I do that is all around protection. Like I have this one, if you know, you go around someone and you know they're just toxic with their thoughts and toxic with the energy they sent you, it literally does this energetic space to protect you if you know you really at that time really can't put that work. That piece when I was showing you with the soul star covering with your chakra, that is such a huge protection that you can do for yourself. And so you start utilizing some of those pieces and seeing how that works, and work with protection. And protection is not to be about being in fear. It's just saying, hey, I'm not letting you feed off my energy or my space. I'm not giving you permission to do that. This is my space, my energy. It's reserved for me and nobody else. And even with like alien energy, you know, you have free will. They do not have the right to, nobody, even spirits or any of that, unless we give them permission to. And so it's really important, like when you're working with any kind of energy bodies, that you really know that vibration, that you really know how to ground and clear. It's so important. You know, we as spiritual beings want to always be connected, but we forget, like when we're connected, if we haven't set sacred space, we're pretty much putting out a light to everything and anything out there. And we have to really set that intention of protection with energy, with our helping spirits and all that. Whenever you do any kind of work, spiritual work, meditation, anything, setting sacred space with like how we use sound and we use the prayer of our intention today. And so it's really important we do that. And then we always want to close. So we close with gratitude. I always close with gratitude because it's one of the highest vibrations. I hope that helped a little bit. When you sit with fear, like when you guys were doing the box today, I hope you you saw some of the emotions that were connected to it. And when we start learning to work with our emotions, when we learn to start identifying what is there, then we can start identifying where their roots are from. So what do I mean by their roots? Are they rooted from something that happened to us in the past, from a trauma? Or are they really something present here and now? And we can get triggered. Our brain doesn't know difference. Our brain knows when we went through trauma, or we went through something that was wounding, heart wounding, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It remembers that. And if anything is similar to that, your brain is going to automatically go into protection and remind you and go into that physical response of protection. So when we start identifying these emotions, what we're actually carrying and why, and where they're rooted at, then we're able to uproot them and really let them go. I think on my website is the feelings wheel, and I really encourage you guys to sit down with 2 simple questions each night. What was good about my day and what was bad, and the emotions connected to it. So you got to remember that, like anger, sadness, any of that, that's usually a mask for something else. So there's something always underlying. Okay, we're going to move into a different question. Recently, I've been feeling tension and anxiety in my throat and chest, like knots around decisions. Will this moon open up opportunities to release this built up and tangled energy around decision making? So usually if that's your chest, that's your heart and your throat chakra. So I encourage you to do some sound healing around that. Help break it up. Help move it into a different space. So go to Meditative Mind. They're on Spotify and YouTube. There's so many resources that are free out there. And I want you to work on throat and heart chakra and really start moving that energy. And yes, once you start moving that energy, this will be opening up all those opportunities. I feel that my spirit guides have been all around me. When I feel open, others are drawn in, and I feel a sense that I need to protect myself from some of those energies. How do I stay open, but stay protected? Well, how we just worked with that soul chakra thing that we did, how we worked with our auric field when we were pulling it in and spreading it down and moving it, and then having it wrap around. That is a great way to start bringing in that protection. Another way to bring in protection, I call it the auric pull in, where I only do this if I'm going out into huge public places, is if you can pull your auric field in around you, and then you can place protections. You want to clear your chakras. You imagine a beautiful golden energy above your head. It's going to pop, and it's going to rotor down through your chakras all the way down through your feet. And you're going to set the intention of clearing. Now, always remember this. Whenever you clear anything, you need to fill it in with something. So I want you to think of something that you want to bring in, and you see that in the golden bubble, and you pop it in, and you feel it just smooth like honey going all the way down into the bottom of your feet. Now you want to set protection around your auric field. And so what is protection for you? Could it be guard dogs? Could it be sentinels? Could it be Archangel Michael? Could it be black tourmaline pillars? Set those outside around you in a circle, and then that'll give you some more protection when you go around these people. You can use healing stones like what I always wear. I never go anywhere without my black tourmaline. It causes this energetic field of protection around my space, so I'm not taking on people's energies into mine. You can use hematite, black obsidian, smoky quartz. Those are other great protection crystals. You can use sprays like sage, Palo Santos. Rose is actually a really huge protection herb, flower, stuff like that. Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys taking time on your Saturday morning to do this. Enjoy this full moon. Sit down and really think about what you want to release and let go as we are working on these spheres, and enjoy this beautiful energy, and really start thinking about how to start placing and moving towards these dreams, so you can open up that door so the energy can just flow through your life. Okay? Nice seeing everyone.